Okay, the campaign body. This is the most important part of the campaign. It's also going to be a long lesson because we have several things to discuss. So first of all, there are some practical requirements. I checked the most updated ones. They seem to be this. So a project title can be 60 characters. The image can be in those formats that you see on the slides. They suggest that size. The blurb, which is under the title, can be 135 characters. The title for the rewards can be up to 40 characters. The video can be submitted in those formats up to 5 gigabytes. The project description can be 35,000 characters, but as I mentioned before, try to write less, because at some point the way it counts becomes weird, and even if you are fairly sure that you're under 35,000, it will tell you, oh no, you run out of characters. There's no limit for the risk and challenges. And then when it comes to your profile photo, you can use those formats. It can go up to 200 megabytes. I'm not sure who would submit a picture that big. Your name and bio can be respectively 40 and 300 characters. These are important numbers to know, so you don't write stuff that then you need to delete. When it comes to the title, so there are different ways to do this, and I am guilty of not doing it always in the best possible way. But I think that the best way would be to have the name of the game and then 3 or 4 words that actually help people place it somewhere. And here on the side there's an example from Mutant Elysium. On the side they have Role-Playing Humanity's Final Fall, which kind of already gives you an idea what the game is about. And then underneath they have a bit longer blurb that is 135 characters that goes a bit deeper into that Humanity's Final Fall. Below you can see another option. You just put the name of the game. And I've been doing it this way usually, but I realized that the better way is the one that you see above, because if you don't know what Facing the Titan is, you might have to actually click on the campaign to get a better idea. And I think it helps if you give some coordinates to the people that are seeing your thumbnails already. So I kind of like that Role-Playing Humanity's Final Fall. What are the sections that you need on day one? Of course, they heavily depend on the game that you are presenting, but at the very least, you should have a short summary at the top that explains very, very quickly what is this game about. If necessary, you can write a little bit of history. Is this like a sequel to another project? Is it connected to other products? Did you do other games that probably players remember before this? So that's something that I would put there. Then some kind of resource section, and here you can have a quick start or other downloads, a print and play version, some kind of demo that helps people that want to know more learn more about the game. And often people just want to know that that thing is there to show that you actually have something to show for it. They might download a quick start and just skim through it and then never actually read it or play it. The print and play thing is very common for board games. I suspect most people don't print and play the stuff because it requires a lot of ink. But just seeing that the stuff is there gives people confidence that, okay, you know what you're doing more or less. Then you need to explain pledge levels. What do people get if they give you money? And if you have early birds, they should be there from day one. And then when they expire, I suggest that you take them away, so you replace the pictures with just what is available at that specific point in time, because otherwise people will feel, oh no, if I found out about this earlier, I would have saved some money or I would have gotten this extra thing. And some people get a bit bitter about it, so just remove them. So people won't see it and they won't feel that they missed out on something. And then below more details on the project. If you need to explain a system, if you need to explain gameplay, that is a good place where to put it. Some people want to know about that, but by this time you probably already made the sale. Like if people are happy with what they see above this section, they are like, okay, I like this game, this is interesting. And then if they want to learn a bit more, okay, but how does it actually play? Then they have something to go there. And that's also a good area to put more videos that explain in detail what is it and how the game works. Then one important part, especially for board games, but I try to put it for every project, is some kind of reviews, quotes from people who tried the game, actual plays, if it is a role play game, or if it, well, even for board games, actually, you could film a whole game, or some kind of testimonials that give support to what you're presenting. Very few board games nowadays fund without this section. So especially because they tend to be on the expensive side, people actually want to see how the game plays on the table and at least get a general idea, okay, this is good for me and my group or not. Then a section with stretch goals. I think we'll discuss them more in details later, but I suggested you put just a few there and then you show that there's more, but you first see how the campaign is going. Then add-ons. What else can people add on top of their pledge? Various items, and at the very end you can put some information about shipping and fulfillment. How are you planning to ship this stuff out? Are there problems in the market? Are the harbors completely stuck? Do you expect that there will be delays? What are you doing to counter that? Are you using a fulfillment service, an external fulfillment service? What are the shipping costs that people can expect? Because this is very important. And one thing that is in place since this year, if you're within the European Union, you might want to consider to add the VAT on top after the pledge, because every country has a different VAT rate depending on the item. So it's really hard to come up with a price that works for everybody. So you might decide to do it afterwards. That is something that you might want to discuss with an accountant, how it's better to do it. When the campaign is on, what are the things that you can add after the day one? So first of all, one thing that I think is relevant is that you can send as many updates as you want, but they're hidden in another tab. So some people, especially if they unsubscribe from your updates, and they will do that, they might not realize that you've been posting news and other stuff. So one good thing to have at the top of the campaign after a couple of days is to have a link to the most important updates with the title and what's inside. Because then if people come back to the campaign on the very first page, they see that there's been updates without going to the tab. Then as they come in, you can add more reviews, preview streams, actual plays, especially if your campaign is long. Let's say that is 4 weeks long, you might have time to add more things as you go. Maybe something that even first you post on updates and then you add to the campaign. I did that very often. More stretch goals when the ones that you have on the page are unlocked and things are going well, then you can add the new blocks of stretch goals. I recommend do not add all your stretch goals in the beginning, just add them as the campaign goes, so you have a bit of space to maneuver and make changes to what you had in mind before the beginning of the campaign, because it's really hard to understand how things will go the moment you press that let's go button. Okay, and then, well, there might be things that the community is asking you, so also that it's something that you might want to address on your page. For example, if they don't understand something about the system, about the game, about the components, you might want to add some paragraphs there that explain that stuff. So in general, I would recommend that you either get good at graphics or get a graphic designer. The way your campaign will present itself basically will sell the game. If you are bad at that, it's very likely that you will not reach your goal. So that is an investment I would recommend. Just get somebody good or learn how to do it yourself. It's useful if you learn how to record and edit videos and audio, just to add videos to the campaign if needed. They don't need to be incredible. Actually, I think people even appreciate more when they look a bit homemade. But you need to know what you're doing. You need to know some software. You need to have a decent microphone. You need to have a camera. So that's something that you want to look into. Now, this is something that it might sound a bit shady, but you need to invest quite a lot in how your product looks, even though the product doesn't exist yet, because you need to be able to communicate the vision of what you're trying to do. I recommend that you're as honest as possible. So don't show something that you know you cannot make, but try to make it as good looking as possible, because people will make decisions mostly looking at images. So that is an important part of the campaign. And one recommendation I have is that a lot of campaigns, especially board games, they embed all the text in images. They do that to circumvent the limits of the Kickstarter campaign body, the 35,000 characters, and also because they can make it look nicer. But there is a downside to this, and the downside is that people cannot just cut and paste pieces of your campaign to show to their friends. They need to kind of download very huge pictures, and it might be difficult for them to share them. So if they want to show it to their friends and everything is in an image, then you have a problem. This happens over and over, and in the list that we've seen on Board Game Geek, etc., they always complain about people doing that because they cannot tell other people what is this campaign about, because all the text is in the images, right? So if you're doing tabletop board games especially, it's good to create GIFs of how the gameplay works. They can be 3D animations, or they can be GIFs of you using the prototype. Of course, you need to remember that you send out the prototypes beforehand so people have time to review them. And you would need to, in my opinion, you would need to have the prototype before starting the campaign, because then you can show that, hey, we already did some work on this, and this is just a prototype, and the final one is going to look better, but it exists. This is a real thing, right? Again, offer free rules. Actually, yes, this is very important. For board games, people really care about the rules. I mean, it's reasonable, because many good board games are ruined by terrible rules. So if you have a booklet with some beta rules, etc., that people can read so they can understand even how the game works, put it there. They will help you improve it, and you will have a very good feeling of how people feel about the game when they see the rules. And if you are more doing tabletop role-play games, quick starts are usually the way to go. Like, my idea of quick start is that it's something that makes you want the full game, but doesn't give you the full experience. Some projects, they give you some kind of ashcan version of the whole rules. I don't think that's a good approach. Because yes, it shows that the game is already existing, but people usually don't have time to dig into 100, 200, 300 pages of stuff. So it's much better if you show them just the important part of the game. They get a feel for it and they want more. That's how I feel about it. And well, if suitable, you can stream a game during the campaign, record the game, get in touch with streamers. So they will play games while the campaign is on, just to rally more people to your campaign. Some examples of things that I think look good. For example, this game Ikaion shows all the components there. You, like, just looking at this, you know, oh, I'm getting a lot of stuff, and people get excited with that. They have a nice way to present stretch goals, and they show you exactly what you're gonna get if that stretch goal is reached. And then, well, I have a thumbnail of one reviewer trying out the game, so people can check that kind of review. This is an example for tabletop RPG games. They show you exactly the books you're getting. They show all the accessories. They give you a little bit more detail of what is that you're looking at. I think this looks very good. It gives you a very good feeling of the final product. And actually, because I have this game, it looks exactly like that. So these mockups are incredibly close to the final thing. Other assets that you will need to create, here I took it from various campaigns. You will need to create headers for the various sections of the campaign. You can also have normal text, but I think it gives a bit more personality to your campaign if you make them custom. For example, here we have one that says stretch goals. We have buttons that people can press to download, for example, a quick start or the rules of the game. Those could be, technically speaking, just simple links, but if you have an image that looks like a button and you put the link there, it kind of looks nicer. Then you might have to create some assets for quotes or reviews. And well, some campaigns also have projected timeline to show you how they plan to work on this project. That is something that you might want to do. And then we have, like, for example, a big table on the right that shows stretch goals that will be unlocked at certain milestones. So that's also something you need to create before the beginning of the campaign. You will have to do a lot of these assets in advance, and my recommendation is that you make them modular, so it's easier to make them longer, shorter, split them, whatever. You will learn the first time you do it, probably you will do it wrong, and then you will learn how to save time doing it, because especially for the stretch goal, that's something you're going to change almost every day, depending on how often the stretch goals are going to unlock in your campaign. But I can tell you that I need to make, like, in a normal campaign, I need to make 50 different images, versions of the same image. So at some point you learn how to do that quickly. The risk and challenges section, we discussed it already, but you need to outline what could go wrong with this campaign. You really need to be honest here. Say, okay, this is our first project, we don't know what we're doing, but we are following the suggestion of some more experienced creator, or we're working with a company that is helping us, or for shipping we plan to use this service that has delivered these other games, so we are in good hands, things like that. Explain very clearly what is in your control and what is not in your control. Like, if you know that there's paper shortages and you are not 100% sure that you can meet the ideal deadline for the game, you should say, like, hey, we plan to do it by this date, we think it's going to be ready by this date, but if there's no paper to print books, then, well, we will need to wait until there's paper. And this is a real case scenario, so be honest with what could go wrong. I think people appreciate that. It will save you troubles later, because, well, you told it in advance, and if people didn't read it, it's basically their problem. Try to detail what kind of steps you're taking to make sure that everything goes well. Again, discuss your partners if you have some, and what have you learned from previous experiences if you have previous experiences. And then the newer section is the one about environmental commitment. Again, backers, some backers care about sustainable products, so this is something where you can gain some backers. Explain how your game is meeting sustainable criteria. One thing that it's not exactly documented here, but people have asked, for example, for some of my project, is that if I know what kind of conditions are granted to the workers of certain factories that we are using, and well, this is becoming increasingly important. So if you can work with a partner that treats employee properly and gives them proper salary and holidays and all that stuff, you know that some backers will care about that. So that's something to consider when you choose a partner. FIQs, you cannot add them before the campaign is online, but you can prepare them in advance and add them as soon as the campaign goes online. Actually, I would recommend that you maybe wait 1 or 2 days so you can see if there are common questions that you haven't considered. And well, my suggestion is that you wait, you see what people are asking, and then write some kind of frequently asked questions that summarize all the answers for these questions that are coming up over and over.